This morning, we are quickly approaching week 3 of the federal government shutdown with no end in sight. On Wednesday, members of the military will miss their first paycheck since the shutdown started on October 1st. They're among the thousands working without pay. Others are furloughed, and it's unclear if they will receive back pay as the law requires. And then there is the threat of firings and job cuts. All this as the U.S. House continues an extended recess and the Senate's effort to pass a short-term spending plan that would reopen the government through mid-November continues to come up for a vote and fail to pass. Democrats refuse to budge, calling to continue taxpayer payments to insurance companies to keep premiums low for health plans under the Affordable Care Act.
Republicans have refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And as a result, this month, tens of millions of Americans all across the country are receiving notices from their health insurance companies making it clear that their premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket. And that is why House Democrats, partnering with Senate Democrats, are continuing to stand on the side of protecting the health care of working-class Americans, middle-class Americans, and everyday Americans.
As you heard, Democrats aim to prevent premium increases in the coming months if the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare are gutted in this next budget, even though Texas has never expanded Medicaid. According to Rice University, roughly 4 million Texans have health insurance plans under the Affordable Care Act. But Republicans have a case to make as well. Parker County Republican Congressman Roger Williams argues tax dollars should not go to lower premiums under Obamacare, calling for the private market to decide the costs. Congressman Williams joins us this morning. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
So how does this shutdown end? You know, a lot of the Democrats seem to be digging in on the health care subsidies. How does this end?
Well, I think hopefully it ends fairly soon. I mean, people are being affected by it. And, of course, we passed a clean CR out of the House several weeks ago, which is really funny because it was the same CR that the Democrats always voted for under Biden. So it's a little crazy why they're dragging their feet in. But I think it ends fairly soon. I think it ends with a clean CR. And if they want to discuss about health care and other issues afterwards, that's fine. That's what we're up there to do, is to debate and discuss. But we need to pass CR, get the government back in business, get the soldiers paid, and get America rolling again.
Wait, what are the stakes of this continuing for days or weeks more?
Well, the stakes are that, number one, the military is not going to get paid. You've got a lot of government employees who are not going to get paid. There are going to be some employees that get laid off. A lot of it's furlough, so they'll get their money when we get back to work, but a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. So the fact that Schumer has put his own political future out there and challenged the American people when we ought to be worried about America's future, not his political future, is a real issue. And I think you can start seeing some Democrats peel off now, especially since the military, come October 15th, will not be paid.
So if a Democrat was sitting right here, they'd argue, well, why not just agree to the Affordable Care Act subsidies first? Why not do that? Or else premiums are going to go up. Why wait until after the CR?
Well, because this is a CR. It's a continuing resolution that says that you spend the same amount of money you spent the cycle before. And those things are what we should talk about after we open the government up. It's simple. We voted for a CR. It passed. They need to vote for it.
They seem to be using their leverage of what they have over you guys.
But I don't know if their leverage is working, because you talk to the American people, I think they're ready for the government to be open, and I think they realize it's Chuck Schumer and the Democrats that are keeping the government from being open. I mean, if you're in the military, I said somebody should ask Schumer, you know, what do you tell the military for they're not getting paid when you could open up the government and get them paid? What do you say to them?
When it comes to the health care subsidies, if those don't continue, there's a lot of fear that premiums will go up because insurance companies, you know, if they don't get it from the taxpayers, they're going to increase their premiums. How do you solve that problem?
Well, I think you have to have dialogue, but I'm not so. You're going to get a lot of people off the rolls that shouldn't be on the rolls. And I think as dialogue, you sit down and talk about it and try to work it out. But there's a time to do everything, and a time is not to create a crisis and shutting down the government now. That's the time to do it after we got the government open, and let's have normal debate like we always do. That's what we're there to do, but not to play games with the American people and the future of America.
You're the chair of the Small Business Committee in the House. If this shutdown continues, will SBA loans be in jeopardy?
Well, that's one of the victims of this is the SBA and is Main Street America. As you said, I chair the Small Business Committee, which we oversee all small businesses. You know, small businesses are 99% of the businesses in this country. 75% of the workforce, 75% of the payroll is small business. And they're directly affected because we've got hundreds and hundreds and thousands of small businesses waiting to apply for loans to the SBA so they can start a business, so they can stay in business, they can keep a business, they can employ people. And they're on
that's on hold.
They're on hold right now because they can't have access to capital. And that's always the biggest issue with small business.
Let's talk about the economy in general. From my perspective, it seems like if you have stocks in the market, it's doing very well. You are doing very well. But I keep on seeing headlines about everybody else as kind of where they were a year ago. And also, people are not getting laid off, but they're not getting hired as well. Diagnose the economy for us right now.
Well, that's a great question. And Main Street, I'm around it every day. I'm part of it. I still, I employ hundreds of people in Parker County. I still sign the checks every single day when I'm home. The economy is pretty good. It really is. I mean, and the attitude of people is very good. What we could do most of all is to get the economy going, and of course open up the government. But aside from that, we need to have interest rates come down too. And I think you're going to see some more cuts toward the end of the year. But that's the last component. That's the cherry on top to turn this economy around so people can actually get in business, borrow money at a fair rate, and get things paid for. So that's what I want to see happen, is more cutting interest rates.
So you're comfortable with inflation at where it's at right now, that rates could be lowered?
Yeah, I think so, very much so. And the other good thing about inflation, nothing good about inflation, but is going to keep inflation flat, I think, is that businesses now are able to have inventories. You know, during COVID, we had no inventories, there was no pricing, there was no discounting. Now we're building inventories. People are able to get a discount. Businesses like mine discount. When you discount, it lowers prices and shuts down inflation. And
from what, I mean, you're a small business owner, as you say, the tariff impact, here we are a couple months into it now, you're still comfortable with where we're at with the tariffs?
Yeah, you're talking to a car dealer here, right? So you talk about tariffs, and I'm not afraid of tariffs, but I'm aware of tariffs. And you know, in my business, in the auto business, if we have something that's been on the shelf too long, or the lot, we discount it. And when you get a discount from the dealer, you get a discount from the manufacturer. Okay, and also your trade-in is now worth more money, so you got more equity. So it's almost possible to buy a tariff vehicle cheaper than you can a non-tariff vehicle.
Okay, Congressman Roger Williams, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.